Hello. My computer crashed, and right while I was writing about ETA and the censorship by George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Barack Obama. And it's not good what they did. So, anyway, it's just so much. I don't even know where to start with this. But, so, I still have my tablet. I can make videos, and I want to pick up on the trains of thoughts by Jiddu Krishnamurti, Dr. David Bohm, Dr. David Schoenberg, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, Terence McKenna also. I don't know if he's ever talked to Jiddu. I would love to see a conversation between them. That would be really awesome. And I would love to see a conversation between Jiddu Krishnamurti and Yuji Krishnamurti. That would be very, very interesting. I know they have had numerous conversations in which Yuji Krishnamurti left and was very angry. And I know that Jiddu Krishnamurti one time was talking to Osho Bhagwan Rajneesh in India. And Rajneesh called Jiddu Krishnamurti an evil man. And he also said, I have no time for this conversation. And he left very indignatedly. And the reason why is because Jiddu Krishnamurti pointed out to him that he does not own the rivers, the air, the oceans. He can put his hand into it, but he doesn't own it. He doesn't have control over this. He has control over lots of his bodily functions, but what good does it do him, right? Ultimately, it's a beneficial discipline, but that doesn't make him omniscient or something, omnipotent or something, because there is no such thing. There's also no such thing as enlightenment. It just doesn't exist. It's an illusion. And I would have so many questions to ask Jiddu Krishnamurti in those discussions that have to do with total security, total psychological security. Everyone needs and should have total psychological security. But most people don't have it. And why is that? Why is it that they don't have that in their adult lives? Because they're still reacting to something that happened during childhood. And I am not excluded from this. I'm not talking about this from the top down. I'm right in the middle of it. I suffer from the trauma from the past. Things pop up, but I am trying on my path to become more and more aware about it, more and more conscious about it. And I recommend to other people to become more and more conscious about it as well. Because that's the only choice we have, really. We don't have any other choice other than to go into this journey of inwardness, of introspection, and to become very scrutinizing with yourself. So to become ruthlessly honest with yourself, radically honest. And that's a real art, I think, to become radically honest with oneself. That takes a lot of reading, that takes a lot of listening, that takes a lot of becoming quiet and paying attention, particularly in nature, going into nature, sitting down and listening to the noises around you and really paying attention without labeling it. Paying full attention to it. Not in the sense like, what can this tree give me, or how can I sell this plant, or what yoga institute can I make out of this property? But just sit there and just be extremely, infinitely grateful for sitting on this lawn, whether it is your own lawn, or whether it is someone else's, or whether it is on public land, in a forest, on some kind of meadow, BML land or something, near a hot spring. Just be there and just allow everything the way it is. Allow everything to be in the state that it is, in this very moment. And listen to the sounds. Listen to the birds. That is so amazing if people did this every single day. If every single human went out into a natural setting and sat there, it could even be on someone's balcony, but just sit there and don't move and just allow the animals and the wind and the trees to move the way it wants to. If there's a bird coming up to you, don't tense up, or don't be reacting to it. Just smile and be grateful to that bird. Welcome that bird. And just accept that moment. It is easiest to do this in a natural setting, so I recommend this to all people. There are so many trains of thoughts that I wanted to touch on. I don't even know where to start. So questions that I have, like the one question that I would ask Jiddu Krishnamurti is, what do you mean by sacredness? What is the sacred? Is the sacred the infinite? Is that the infinite cosmos? Is that the infinite existence? The infinite universe, or universes? Sealing up now, it's good. So I'm drinking a lot of garlic for this. If I didn't drink garlic, this would not heal as fast. It's very important to be vegan, to eat a lot of raw, and to meditate in nature. It's very, very important to do this for everyone. Not run away. Become radically honest. Not run away from anything. Not obsess on other people, or what on their agenda, or on their needs, or on their functions, whatever they can offer to us, or just welcome the other beings. Accept them for who they are. Very difficult for most people to do. Most people think in terms of what can they gain from someone else. That's also why I have become very skittish. I don't trust people anymore. I feel like everyone just wants to take advantage of something, wants something for themselves, and without any regard for the other living beings' needs or existence or beingness. I see it particularly with men, the way men approach women. I see this on the internet all the time. It became so bad that I had to quit Facebook because of it was becoming very insane, really, really insane. I don't know where all these people were coming from all of the sudden, but all of the sudden I was bombarded with men, particularly from Syria and Africa. I don't know why that is. I don't know if someone hacked into my Facebook profile or something. I have no idea, but and they all thought I was some kind of loose lady or something. And then when I wasn't meeting those expectations, then they called me a slut and a bimbo. It's like, first of all, you wanted a slut and a bimbo, right? Then you find out I'm not a slut and a bimbo. You feel rejected, and then you get pissed, and then you call me a slut and a bimbo. All of this. It's just I don't even know where to start. It's this insane double standard in humans that I have such an issue with, and I have the right to be angry. I have every right in the world to be angry about certain things that people do. Every right in the world. Okay. I'm not the one who is cutting people's heads off. Okay. But I have every right in the world to feel angry feelings. And I will feel them until I have felt them all. Okay. I feel it all the way. And I recommend this to other people too. When someone pisses you off, feel it. Don't act it out. Okay? Don't write angry letters or cut someone's head off or go to war. That's not what I mean. Feel it. Sit there and feel it, but allow yourself to feel it. You can write about it for yourself. You can paint it out. You can sing it out. You can dance it out. You can express it in a peaceful way. But the anger is a valid emotion that has to be felt. Okay. That has to be felt for each individual's health state. If I suppress anger, I will create an energy stagnation. And I've seen it, and I don't do this. I never have done that in my life. That's why I'm still alive. If I had not been very stubborn about my right to anger, I would not be here anymore. I would have already died a long time ago. I would have already died at age 10 or something, or age 11. Yeah, that's how it is, and that's the truth. I see it. People get sick because they suppress their anger, because of social norms and social oppression. They suppress their anger because they think the other people, their peer groups, parents, friends, etc., expect that from them. Expect that from the role that they had been attributed. So that's why I say break out of all of these roles. And be you. That's all I can say to this. It's very simple, really. But it takes some courage. It takes courage to break out of these old status quo role plays that people are doing. This silly, complete, insane game playing that people do with one another. So many thoughts that dock onto this, but I want to go back to what I would say to Jiddu Krishnamurti. What is the sacred? What do you mean by sacred? What is that? Is that the infinite? Because he said there is something above compassion, and he calls that the sacred. I have a problem with that statement. I don't know what he means by this, so that's why I would be, it burns me to ask that question. I can't ask him, no. He can't speak to me verbally now. So maybe I should ask him that in thought form. So maybe I'll get an answer later today. We'll see. But the infinite, we cannot speak in terms of comparisons or values with this. Compassion is a realm. That is the realm of moving forward. Okay, plain and simply. In regards to all life, in regards to all existence in the infinite. So that could also be with extraterrestrial beings. Any kind of existence. Compassion is the true realm. He says there's something above called the sacred. The only way I can describe this is that and I would never use that word sacred because it has been exploited by religions. I call it the infinite. Other people can call it Brahman or God or gods. Maybe many different gods arising out of this. God types of energies that show themselves in some way to people. Maybe it's just an illusion, maybe it's just a hallucination or imagination or wishful thinking. All of this could be too. But the infinite is a unity, it's just one matrix. It's one soup, one blue soup. And that's why I call it the blue God. It's a long story. I wrote about it in my book. And it's on Blogger for everyone to read. It happened in 2003. Okay. It's a very interesting story. But that's why I cannot call myself an atheist anymore, neither agnostic, because it is much more metaphysical than that. And metaphysical is a word that comes from a person who has not scientifically explored a specific phenomenon and is in wonder about it. That's why it's called metaphysics. Metaphysics, beyond physics, beyond that what we have already inspected, touched, grasped, and measured. So that's all it is. There is no such thing as total control over anything or total understanding, or there's really no such thing as metaphysics, because it's just meta from a human perspective. Ultimately, everything could be scientifically explained, it just has to do with further and further technological advancement, that's all, and finer tuned perception devices and so on. That's all it is. But why? It is what it is, all of it, and it is infinite, and that's cool, and some people like to explore, and that's cool too. But there's no such thing as getting a grip on something or controlling it or getting it all covered. That's what a lot of people, that's a mindset from which a lot of people come. whether they're coming from a religion or from a scientific perspective. It's about controlling. It's the ego that wants to control things and own things and be in charge of something. So there's no such thing. None of us is ever in charge. Okay. And that's beautiful. Yeah. So what he means by sacred is probably it's infinite existence. And that is not a puppeteer. That is not... I was also talking to Lisa about this earlier in our conversation. It's only humans are puppeteers, because it's only coming from the human egoic perspective to want to control something, to want to be a creator of something. So other than that, there is no creator. Because what was before the creator and what was before that creator? What will be after the creator, and so on. It's just infinity and nothing else. It may be a difficult concept for some people. It might even be scary, but don't be scared. Don't ever be scared. It's fun. It has humor in it. It's easy. It's flowing. We need to have humor about ourselves. This is so incredibly important. Don't underestimate that. Don't underestimate the value of laughing about yourself. I have an anecdote to talk about in this regard. This is very beautiful. There was a guy, he had the C word, which I don't like to mention. And I heard this story long time ago in Germany. I don't know whether this happened in Germany, but this older guy, he went to the doctor and he was very clenched into a situation in his life and clinging to an outcome and very, very nervous and anxious about it, and always under this tremendous pressure that he's put on himself. So goes to the doctor, and the doctor gives him that terrible diagnosis. But unlike most people, this guy, what it did in this guy was the opposite. The doctor gave him, as they always like to do, they like to give people a diagnosis and a time span of how long they are yet allowed to be alive. I give you 3 more weeks. I am your God in white. I give you 3 more weeks. So, and people go like, oh, really? Oh, God in white, why do you do this to me? Very few people say, fuck you. But this guy, he did something completely different. He was like, really? Oh my gosh, this puts everything in a different perspective. I have to celebrate. I have to invite all of my friends, everyone I've ever known, everyone who I had a fight with, everyone. I have to find these people. That was long before the internet. But he had to find all of these people. He had to get them together. He said, come live in my house. He had a big house. And we party every single day. And we have a really good time. I am so glad. He says he's so glad to go in 3 weeks. And then things are going to be over with, and everything is going to be so great and wonderful, and all this horrible, horrific struggle. And I could so deeply relate to this. Oh my gosh, could I relate to this? I don't know how old I was, 15 or 16 when I heard that story. Boy, that really resonated with me. It's like I could feel that energy of this tremendous relief. At the same time, I was very aware about the fact that other people do not see it that way. Because I do not come from a mindset of clinging. I have never been in that mindset. So it's very difficult for me to understand someone else who is in that mindset of being so horrifically glued to the existence that they live. This like an inner, it's like a torment to to feel this need to exist and to become this or that, and have this or that status or title or whatever, or family, children, all of this, it's status. It's coming from ego, and I thought that was so incredibly hilarious. This guy, celebrating, and then something really amazing happened. The sea disappeared. It disappeared. He was like, oops, I feel so much better now. After 3 weeks, he goes back to the doctor. He says, are you the same patient that I saw 3 weeks ago? I can barely believe it. Everything gone. There was not a trace of the tumor that he had. Not a trace of any of these horrible things that were going on in the system or in the blood. Not a trace. Everything completely clean bill, clean slate of total health. And so this story should really say something to us. This should really teach us something. So in regards to the sacred that Jiddu Krishnamurti was talking about, the thing I call the infinite soup, the blue God, that is an ever-evolving mix of colors. And there is no creator in it. It just keeps on creating itself. It's karma. It's cause and effect. Okay? And that goes into infinity, into the future, and into the past. And time is really a construct of humans. There is really no time. There's just infinity, an 8 on the side. So there is no creating going on. It creates itself all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. There are ripple effects that affect something else, which affects something else, and so on and on and on and on. That can trigger something else, then something can explode, then something can collapse, it can crunch, it can explode out again, it can contract and expand, and it just goes on and on and on and on, with substances, with chemicals, with nuclear reactions, with biology that evolves, eventually collapses, re-evolves, and so on. It's completely, what he means by this is beyond, this is above, not in terms of measurement, not in terms of value. It's in terms of it just is. This just is the ultimate creation process, self-creation process. So that is beyond compassion. But compassion is a state and a realm that allows for this infinite evolving and expansion and self-creation process. So that allows that. For example, to bring it back to Earth, I had a boyfriend once from Tehran, long time ago in LA, and he snuck himself sneakily into my life. I say that because he did have an agenda. Okay? And the way he did it is he gave me comfort when I was crying, and I was crying almost every day. I was always upset, sad. There were 2 guys from Iran. It was also in West LA, where there's a lot of people from Iran. I went to an Iranian dentist and who did a terrible root canal. It's a different story, but this other guy who had an apartment next to mine, who was also from Iran, he was very nice and he was very genuine. I'm using this example to highlight something. And so the apartment building owner was also from Iran, and he was, I had to be very careful with him to get everything in writing, or he would just rip me off. And but that's humanity, you know. It's like, again, you know, only 3% of humans are honest. So, but I want to highlight these two guys. They were about the same. We were all about the same age, about 30. And the one guy was also at SMC, where I went to. The other guy was living down in the basement, had a basement apartment, lived in a very bleak apartment. I felt sorry for him also. It's terrible. He was very miserable. So, and I was careful. I didn't really want him to come in my apartment because I felt strange vibes from him. And we were just friends in the beginning, and I talk to everyone. I always talk to everyone, and I give everyone the same chance. So then I became a bit involved with the guy next to my apartment, but there was no way the guy next to me, who was also from Iran, has no way he would start to expect something from me in return, or it was a very, very, you know, roaring 20s type of punk type of situation of complete egalitarianism. You know, we had a fling and it was cool, and then we went our ways, and he wasn't clinging, I wasn't clinging, and it was nice when we met. It was cool, it was nice, but there was no, oh, now I have to, now I need to own you, now I need to marry you, now you need to have my children, none of this, okay? While the other guy, who was a bit pushy, and I was a little bit resistant, so he tried to do it with sweet talking. He tried to do it with, oh, let me give you comfort and all of this. So then once he was in my life, once he was in my apartment, he started to become more and more pushy. It ended up with him stealing he stole my passport, my ID, he stole money from me. And in the very end, he started to become violent on the streets. No one helped me, and by the time I got to my apartment, I wouldn't let him in, and he started to kick me, literally kick me with his shoes into my shin bone, and he started to throw me against the wall, and I screamed, and the other guy, also from Iran, came out and talked to him in Farsi, and hollered at him and said to him, don't ever come to this floor again, okay, or I will beat you up and I'll call the police. And we should have called the police, but so that Javad left and went down to his dungeon apartment, and the other guy gave me comfort without wanting anything, you know, without wanting anything. He just wanted to comfort me. That's all he wanted. And I feel it. I feel this, you know, I feel that energy when there's someone who just feels this compassion, you know, without an agenda or anything. So I was deeply grateful to him. So I went into my apartment. I took a shower. I did some arts and crafts, because I was going back to Germany. I wanted to continue studying psychology, and I just wanted to be left alone, and I just wanted to have some creative hours and do artwork and calm my mind all the way down. And that Javad ended up back on that, in front of my door all night long. Nicolo, open the door all night long. I hear you clipping your fingernails, and I was clipping something else. So it's like, this is what I wanted to, this is what I want to highlight. It's this, when someone is possessive over someone else, that is what is so incredibly detrimental to the person himself. And I think it should, and so according to Jiddu Krishnamurti in the conversations, it feels like that Jiddu Krishnamurti really believed that every single person can wake up to this state of embracing themselves and others and acceptance, no more clinging. So he really believed that this is possible, that people could do it. I don't know. I wish it is possible. I wish, that someone like Elliot Rodger could really wake up and realize this, become conscious of this situation, look at life from a different angle, and realize all of this. Realize that he doesn't have to cling to anything. He doesn't have to cling to getting approval from the beautiful women that he wanted. He wanted these beautiful women. It wasn't about sex. His dad wanted to give him a hooker, a real high-paid hooker. He didn't want that. That's not what he wanted. He wanted this. He wanted these women to fall in love with him. He wanted that as a confirmation of his validity. And this is what I mean, is, or men wanting to own a woman like this, I have a real issue with this. Oh my gosh. Think about this all the time. The dentist, the oral surgeon guy, has that same energy, this me, wanting. Not about the other living being there in the dentist chair, the other living being who's crying and whimpering in pain, jamming that injection in and right into the infection, and me like, and I felt like there was some kind of excitement going through this body, because I felt his fat belly next to my arm, pressing against my arm. There's excitement going through his system, This is insanity, okay? So, sadism and hatred and all of this is insanity. And I think it is possible to become aware right now, in this moment, and step away from it, and see and look at it, and all of a sudden see that other living being is not a slut. It is a living being with needs, with intelligence, just as high as yours, okay? Most women are strong. I can lift 5 gallons with one hand, okay? So a lot of men cannot do this. Yeah. I want people to wake up to the fact that we are equals, and we should meet each other on eye level. And you are not above. You are not. Forget the image you have built around the other, or the woman in the dentist chair, or a guard dog. You give these beings, you attribute a role to these beings. And every single guard dog and every single woman is her and his own person, sentient, alive, has needs. Okay, so I guess I'm going to leave it at that. I'll make more videos later and get into this in more depth. You guys take care. Bye-bye.